So welcome back to JenTalks, and as always, I'm here posting on a Friday to remind people how to, I suppose, put their mental, physical, and emotional health on the radar, and I suppose to put it on the agenda and make it a priority. I was asked today by one of my kids, what was the point of the Gen Talks? And I just realized that maybe some of the people listening this evening or over the weekend might not have heard the first few clips where I've kind of introduced the purpose behind these. So I thought I would just kind of give you a background to why these videos are important to me. When we first went into lockdown, I thought to myself, I wonder how I could support people that mightn't necessarily be interested in doing a course or taking up coaching or, speaking to somebody. And I said to myself, maybe a little nugget of wisdom every week based on the training and the experience I have had in my personal and professional capacity could be helpful. So every week I pick a theme and I talk a little bit about the theme and I give a little tip for people, a tip or a tool away. And the most important part of that talk is that people hear that they are not the only ones experiencing what they're experiencing. So whether you feel like you're losing your mind, whether you feel like, you've been overeating or that your memory's failing you, most people reach out to me and say, until I heard you, Jenny, I thought I was going mad. And then I realized this is a thing. Everybody's, feeling exactly the same way. And one of the big things we do is we tend to look outside the world and see everybody going about their business. And we always think, they've got their act together. Why can't I have my act together? Why can't I be as on top of life as them? But everybody's going through their own thing. Everybody's got their own stuff to deal with. So, don't get caught up in the comparison trap. The other thing I want to mention is, going back to the raising of awareness. This is something I wanted to raise the awareness of this week, and that's the whole lifting of restrictions. So I know a lot of people are really excited about the restrictions being lifted. And I suppose I'm going to sound like a little bit negative, but only to raise your awareness from the point of view of, because we've been on a particular path for so long. For the last year, we've been in and out of, longer than a year, we've been in and out of lockdown. Lockdowns on, lockdowns off. This is open, this is closed, and that absolutely plays havoc with our routine and, of course, our mental health. And the same goes for when we're coming out of restrictions. So as much as we think we're looking forward to going, back to probably what we expect to be normal, it's not going to be the normal that you were used to. And that can be quite daunting for people sometimes. They think, the crack that they had in the pubs before lockdown, or, the capabilities or the confidence they had in sport maybe, or particularly in school. And then when they go back first, it's like starting all over again. The good news is knowing that is the key. Knowing that you may be entering into choppy waters, then that the awareness of that in itself is the power of, I suppose, processing it. So when you do, turn up for your basketball game or your GAA game and you're not yourself, don't judge yourself so harshly and don't beat yourself up. And remember, every other player on the pitch is going through what you're going through. No, none of us have been unaffected by lockdown and the restrictions. So, the other team is also lacking, a little bit of their confidence has been chipped away. So everybody's on an even keel in the sense that the lifting of restrictions is new for everybody. Nobody has an advantage over you. And absolutely, people are affected differently. So, sometimes people look really confident, but underneath it all, they're really nervous or anxious. So just be aware of that. Your job, you stay in your lane, you do you, and let them do them. And remember, before you know it, you're going to find your stride again. So think of it, like the first day you started school, if you can remember starting secondary school maybe, and how nervous you might have been. And then before you knew it, you kind of found your rhythm. It doesn't mean you necessarily liked it, but you certainly found your rhythm. And that's what the lifting of restrictions is about. It's about us finding our rhythm. Because remember, this is still a huge amount of uncertainty out there. There's uncertainty over what's going to be restricted. Are we going back into lockdown? Are we getting our vaccinations? Are we choosing to, or are we choosing not to? Are we going to travel? Are we not going to travel? And there's just an awful lot of information. There's an awful lot of fear out there. And, there's an awful lot of uncertainty and lack of trust really in the information that's coming down the lines. You're hearing one story one day and another story the next day. So that plays havoc on your mental health, on your stability, on your sense of security and your sense of self. And really, I'm just flagging that to you to say, you know, everybody's going to feel that. So just watch out for it. Once you know it's coming, you'll be like, that's what that lady was talking about on JenTalks. The other thing we need to be aware of as well is not everybody is absolutely cartwheeling that the restrictions are lifted. Some people are absolutely terrified at the idea of people gathering and people going to pubs and people going to restaurants or people coming to visit maybe. So it's not that, that we want to agree or disagree with anybody's perspective. It's the idea that we're aware of it and we're non-judgmental towards them because everybody's carrying their own load. So whatever's driving their fear and anxiety is absolutely valid for them. So just to be conscious of that, So if you're an adolescent and you have parents that are a little bit still kind of holding on to the control a little bit, just understand that they might be going through a little bit of fear at the moment. Or you have elderly parents that are just terrified of COVID and terrified of the restrictions being lifted. Just be conscious that not everybody's absolutely bursting with joy for Pennies to be opened or Temple Bar to be opened or whatever else might be opening up soon. And before we finish, I just want to give you, remind you, I suppose, as opposed to giving you tips. I want to remind you when we're going through the challenges, of course, it's when we really need to kind of be conscious of our well-being. So it's a good time to remember the 4 cornerstones of well-being. Think of it like the 4 legs of a chair. Big, strong leg is sleep. So if you're not sleeping, do something about it. Do not continue on the path of, allowing your sleep being out of sync to continue, because once that habit, the longer that habit forms and the more embedded it becomes, the more difficult it is to break. First thing to say when it comes to sleep is ask yourself the story you tell yourself about sleep. Watch the beliefs that you hold. There are clips on my YouTube channel around sleep. There's a particular exercise that I teach on box breath where you breathe in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4, and it clears the mind. But, if you want further information on that, look up the YouTube channel. If you can't find it, contact me personally and I'll send you out a handout on it and maybe even a little copy of a video that I've made for groups that I work with. But sleep, absolutely get on top of your sleep. It's what we use to torture people, to break them down. So that's how important it is to our sense of being and sanity. Then we have, nourishment. So nourishment is what you put into your body. So that's, are you drinking enough water? Are you eating the right foods? I don't believe in good food or bad food. I don't believe in a certain measurement, like everybody should drink X amount of liters of water today. My way of working is just to be conscious. What does your body need? Is your body craving peanuts? Is your body thirsty? What is it that you need? Are you feeling well? Is your skin feeling dry? Do you need to eat more oily foods? And of course, we know this. I'm no nutritionist, but good quality food, the less processed it is, the better it is for you. So that's all I'm going to say. When it comes to nourishment, I also want you to think about what else are you putting into your body. So what are you subjecting yourself to? And that includes TV is the quality of what's going into your brain, of a standard that would nourish your mind. And that includes the news, so, social media. I love social media, so it's not like I'm anti-social media, but just watch how you feel. That's the indicator. That's the navigation there. If you're watching something that's making you feel anxious or feel upset, then you have to ask yourself the question, how is this benefiting me? Is this benefiting me, or how is it benefiting me? Then the other thing is, of course, who you surround yourself with. Are you surrounding yourself with people who are very fear-based, who are constantly debating, things that, make you feel uncomfortable or stress you out? And regardless of COVID, are they just constantly giving out? Are they giving out about people? Are they dragging you down? Again, it's that energy check how your energy feels after you spend time with people. And that doesn't even have to be physically. That could be on the phone or Zoom or whatever it might be. So we've mentioned 2 of the cornerstones, nourishment and sleep. Now we're going to mention activity. So activity is whatever activity is to you. A lot of people have this concept that like activity is going to the gym or 10,000 steps. And I'm no more of a 10,000 steps kind of a person. but I absolutely love getting out in nature, just strolling with my dog, out walking in nature. And you know what? If it's helping with the waistline, brilliant. That's an added byproduct, but it's the activity of it. And, I'm also a huge fan of Qigong. Thanks to Joanne Faulkner for the biggest gift that COVID ever gave me was her Qigong in March 2020. And I've kept it up ever since. And it sounds very fancy, but it's very gentle movement that moves the energy around the body. Now, I'm not trying to say to you that everybody has to do Qigong. It's like the same way some people will be saying everybody has to do yoga. Find what you love. Do you love to cycle? Do you love to skateboard? Do you love to dance? Do you like to hopscotch? As long as the body is physically moving. And you know what? Even people with injuries, if you're sitting in your chair, like, moving your energy around, just shaking your body, moving your energy, get the energy flowing and get the blood pumping around the body. That's really important for the aging process and for your immune system. And last but not least, and it's amazing that I left the biggest one to last, is breath. Breath is life. Without breath, there is no life. And yet, very few of us actually breathe on purpose, intentionally or consciously. So just very simply, if you started from today, right now, and you decided to breathe in for the count of 4 and back out for the count of 4, or even possibly 5, just a little bit longer than you were breathing in for, 5 times a day, you would extend your lifespan by up to 10 years, depending on what kind of time you have left. So what we mean by breathing on purpose is breathing preferably in through the nose, down into the belly if you can make it. Pretend you're smelling something, like you've scent of a rose, or I'm going to pretend this is a little flower here, so I'm just going to pretend I'm smelling a flower. Into the nose, goes down into the belly for the count of 4, and then out through the mouth, like you're blowing the candles on a cake. 5 of them a day, that's all. 5 of them a day is a maintenance breath that rids the body of cortisone and stress, and repairs some of the damage that you've done through fear and anxiety, and it has a whole load of other benefits. Improves your immune system, it releases happy hormones, and of course slows down the aging process. So the 4 cornerstones of well-being, the great thing about each corner is you have your own relationship with it. So it's rather than me saying to you, do this, 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 and this, breathe properly, watch what you nourish, watch how you breathe, watch what you put into your body, look at how you sleep, is there room for improvement there, and look at your nourishment and activity as well. And if you wanted to kind of do a little exercise in that, what I often do with groups is I take each of the corners and I say to them, okay, when it comes to sleep, score your level of satisfaction on a scale of 1 to 10. How happy are you with your sleep? And we do the same for each of the corners. So we do activity, nourishment, and breath. And then you say to yourself, when you've given yourself a score, even if you just took one leg of the chair, one corner, and you said, if I was to increase that just by 1 point, so if say I gave my sleep a 6, what could I do to make sleep a 7? To just improve it by 1 point, because one little improvement each week or even each day will last far more substantially than trying to just get every single one of the legs of the chair up to a number 10. So small incremental changes and consistency. So when we try and make the big, huge 360-degree turns, often we fail. So start with, first of all, figuring out where you're at, and then seeking to improve one of the areas, just even by 1 point. And then when you kind of find your rhythm on 1 point, you can either move to another leg of the chair, or you can stick with that leg and try and bring it up another point. And you usually find that it settles in after about 2 weeks. So if you got your sleep up to a number 8 and you wanted to make it a number 9, let it sit at a number 8 for about 2 weeks before you go to try and change it further, because otherwise what happens is we kind of bite off more than we can chew. And then, of course, we fall flat on our face, and we don't want that. So on a positive note, enjoy whatever you're getting up to in these new times, that everybody's kind of curious to find out, can we go out for a meal? What can we do? Are we allowed to visit relatives? I heard something on the radio today about pubs opening. That's probably great news for some people, and other people it has no effect whatsoever. whatever you do, stay safe, be happy and healthy. And I shall see you back here next week for the next Gen Talk video. Thank you so much for your attention today or over the weekend, whenever you get a chance to watch this video. So goodbye.